Whew, let me tell you, man, it's been a minute since I've been out here. It's been so long since I've been out in this area. And let me tell you right now, man, all my OG subscribers definitely know where I used to push the limits to this car, showing you the handling capabilities, the power capabilities, and everything else. And now we are back after the engine rebuild of Project Mark 7. So guys, welcome to JR14, and we are here with another video. Here, I'm going to show you how to after spending thousands and thousands of dollars buying a integrated engineering built short block and rebuilding everything and even upgrading most of the parts, I'm going to show you today and tell you about how to protect the engine and how to properly break it in. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the video started. As you guys already know, we finally got Project Mark 7 up and running again, and even better than ever before. The reason why I say that is because there's a lot of upgradable parts that I put into the car during the engine rebuild process. Starting off with the actual heart of the car, the block. The block is actually bought by Integrated Engineering. It is a fully built short block, upgraded pistons, upgraded rods, upgraded bearings. Also, we added a fluid dampener. Which actually does help with the vibrations in the crankcase to prevent that from happening. Also, so we wanted, obviously, if I'm doing a built bottom end, I wanted to go ahead and add more power. So obviously, we got the Lico L500 on the car. We also do have the spool and charge pipes. We also do have the Walbro 525 Precision Raceworks low pressure fuel pump, Autotech high pressure fuel pump, and also we have a bunch of other bar sensors in the car from A2B Motorsports and a lot of other bits and pieces to make this what it is today. So obviously, like I said, spending a lot of money on this build, making sure that everything was replaced that needed to be replaced. I didn't want to skimp out on anything because the smallest thing can cause the biggest problems. So I didn't skimp out on anything. I wanted to get this thing done right, and I wanted to have everything brand new that makes this engine run. So now, obviously, like I said, we're going to talk about how to protect it, and also we're going to talk about the steps that I'm going to do to protect it, and also the steps that we're going to do for the break-in process. So let's hop in the car, let's go for a little bit of a drive, and let's chat a little bit about what that break-in process is. Alright guys, so before I get started on talking about this, I need you guys to give a follow to European Auto on their Instagram. I'll put it down in the description below. They do all types of repairs and they do it well. So if you need your car repaired, if you need to do repairs on your car, like OEM or aftermarket, make sure that you give them a hit up. Make sure that you hit them up and let them know, and then this way they can take care of your car. But let's talk about the break-in process, right? First of all, why do a break-in process? Like I said, when you're putting a brand new engine in a car, it's not like ordering a car from a showroom floor and, buying a brand new car from a dealer with like 10 or 20 miles on it and then driving it. Obviously those have been put through stress tests already, and they've, been driven to the important port and from the factory and on the trucks and stuff like that. So they do have some miles on them. So there is some break-in on that engine from factory. So even before they even put it in a car, they stress test the motor, meaning that they make sure that all the components are great and everything else, and that everything is good to go before giving you the sign off to drop it in the car. So the difference now is that literally you're putting in fresh parts, you're building an engine, putting all the pieces together that have never been moving before, that never had tolerances before or anything like that. So I would tell you that it's extremely different, and that you should definitely follow a break-in process. So there are definitely different ways where you can break in a brand new engine. Every engine rebuilder has a different process that they recommend. Now I would definitely recommend their process, obviously. And here's the thing about Integrated Engineering. So when you saw that unboxing of the new built short block, you saw that there was a folder, and that folder just gives you specs on the tolerances and clearances of everything, but there was no instructions on how they recommend you break it in. So I called Integrated Engineering and definitely told them, like, hey, listen, I don't see any information in regards to you know, a break-in process with your engine. And I'm sorry for all the bumps. It's New York and it's, you know, roads. I don't have to explain that to you. I feel like every video has something of that nature in it. So pretty much people are asking like, okay, well, what's the break-in process? And then I asked integrated engineering the same question, and they told me that, okay, well, you know, you could just drive it for 500 miles of break-in oil and change it and you're done. You know, but they also didn't tell me that. They said they have a blog where they post up and you have to search for it. Like, you have to really search for that. I mean, it's not a big deal for me. I find that to be a gripe though, especially someone that's paying thousands of dollars for a fully built product. At least add one sheet of paper for instructions. I don't want to have to look for it on your website. And it's not even like underneath. You would think that you would go to the engine and then see like, you know, break-in process procedure. It's nothing like that. No, it's actually within their vlog or their blog section. So you have to go to like the last page of the blog section and find it. So the break-in process. What did I do? I did my own research. Now you guys, obviously I followed a few people. I definitely looked at a couple of YouTube videos myself. I'm telling you, YouTube's where it's at with information. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But definitely with this process, I wanted something that was definitely intricate, like involved and really thorough. I'm really anal, especially after spending this type of money. I want to make sure that I break it in properly. So I realized that, oh shoot, MA Performance actually does break-in, actually builds Evo engines. So I asked them, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they, you know, and they said, listen, hey, we have a process. They had a video out, and I'll put that link in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. But it's kind of similar to what I'm going to talk to you about today, and I followed their break-in process. So here we are. So I explained to you why I did the break-in process and why, you know, and what process that and I'm about to tell you now what process I decided to go with. Okay. So the first step is let's talk about the tools that you're going to need. All the fluids and everything that you're going to need. You're going to need regular motor oil, not a synthetic, not anything like that. You're going to need a regular conventional motor oil. In a Mark 7's case, you're going to need a 5W30 conventional motor oil. You can get it from Pep Boys. I believe mine was like about $30 for 6 quarts from Walmart. So go ahead and try doing that. You want to spend the least amount of money as possible because this is like a waste. You don't really need the brake. You don't really need the motor oil. So if something goes wrong with the car where it starts to leak or anything like that, you're not wasting $60, $70 for full synthetic. So the other thing that you're going to need is 12 quarts of break-in oil. The break-in oil that I used was Penn Grade SAE30, and that is their break-in oil. It looks green. It's not like a normal color of oil because it's break-in oil. So now, why are you using that? Because there's going to be 2 steps of the process where you're going to have to flush out break-in oil for more break-in oil. And then also this, you can use AMSOIL. Why didn't I use AMSOIL or anything like that? Because I would prefer you to, like I said before, I recommend you using the oil that the engine builder recommends you use. In this case, it's Penn Grade for integrated engineering. Now, the other thing that you're going to need is a bunch of filters. Every time you're changing the oil during this process, you're going to be changing the filter. Obviously, there's still going to be metal particles that you're going to have to get rid of. And you're also going to have to, you know, obviously, there's going to be metal particles that you're still trying to wash out of the system. And obviously, as you're breaking it in, you're also going to have some of those products as well. So definitely go ahead and get all those filters because you're definitely going to need them. The oil that you normally use in the car. So this is after the engine's broken in. You're gonna need your regular oil, not your normal synthetic that you would normally change the oil in every 5,000 or 10,000 miles, whatever your interval is. So, you know, definitely get that as well. So let's talk about the whole process. Step 1. Obviously, before you start the car for the first time, you want to make sure that you put in the regular conventional motor oil. This because the reason why you want to do this is because if anything starts to leak or if you have somewhat of an oil leak anywhere, this is a good way for you to actually look for the issue now and not spend a lot of money on very expensive synthetic oils. You know, and then what you're doing during this process, you're actually going to be running the car for about 20 minutes. During this 20-minute break-in process, you're actually going to go ahead and rev the car. You're not driving it at all. Before you start the car, though, before you start the car for 20 minutes, make sure you disconnect the cam sensors, so this way, and then the fuel pump, so this way all you're doing is priming the engine. So the car's gonna go like but not starting. You're priming the engine. You're getting the oil in all the crevices before starting it up, because you don't want to put extra stress on dry metal to metal components, because that'll actually be bad for the engine. You're putting the most stress on an engine when it's brand new, and that's not good. So don't do that. So now you're going to turn the car on after you've primed it. You're going to run the car for about 20 minutes, and this is still with the regular motor oil, 5W30 motor oil. And during these 20 minutes, you're actually going to go ahead and actually rev the car to 2,000 RPM, then bring it back down to idle. Rev it to about 1,500, bring it back down to idle, back to 2,000, back to idle, things of that nature. So you're going to go back and forth with it. And the reason why you're doing that is just because of the fact that, you know, you're looking for leaks, and you're trying to build a little bit of pressure in the oil and the crankcase and everything, and that's why you're kind of doing that. So now after that's done, and you check for leaks, after that's done, turn the car off, check for leaks. Also check and see if you have any oil consumption issues or an oil pressure light. If you do, there's something internally wrong with the engine and it's not getting oil circulation properly. If you have no issues, then you can move to step 2. Step 2 is actually going to be flushing out that conventional motor oil and then throwing in your first 6 quarts of break-in motor oil. Now what are you going to do during this break-in process, during this motor oil? You're going to drive the car for 30 to 50 miles. I drove the car for about 35 miles. During this, obviously, when they were finished putting everything back together, this was a perfect opportunity for me to drive the car from Long Island to Queens to actually get an alignment, because obviously the subframe and the engine was out, so I needed to get an alignment again. So I went to InTrack to go ahead and do that. So I went ahead and did that, and everything seemed to be good. So after driving that 35 miles, as you're driving those 35 miles, what you really want to do is put some load on the car. You can do that by just accelerating a mild acceleration. Do not go wide open throttle. The reason why you want to put load on the car is because load causes, the reason why you want to put load on the car is because the load generates heat. And you need heat to seed the piston rings properly. So you want to make sure those piston rings are good, and you want to make sure that they're seeding into the cylinder properly, so this way you have no oil passage past the rings. And this is, you know, again, like, you know, you really want to make sure this is done properly. The way that you can normally do it is by, if you go through a lot of city traffic, you know, a lot of stop and go, accelerating from a stop, not, you know, generating like a mild set of boost. If you don't have any self-control, I recommend you getting a low boost map, so that this way you can, you know, do that with no issues at all. So you can do that without having to worry about blowing the motor or running too much boost. Now, you do that for, like I said, 35 miles. Now, if everything is fine, then you go ahead, you drain that break-in oil out, and you put in the other 6 quarts of break-in oil in. While you're putting in the other 6 quarts of break-in oil, now you're going to drive the car for about 500 miles. And now you're actually really putting the engine through its paces, meaning that not necessarily wide open throttle, but distance driving, really getting that oil to really break in, and then it's further breaking in everything. You know, you really want to make sure that everything is broken in all nice, and that's kind of why you want to go ahead and, you know, drive it for the 500 miles. Okay, so now you've reached 500 miles on your car. You've done the first part of the break-in process, no issues. Second part of the break-in process, no issues. And the final part of the break-in process, which was driving at 500 miles with the last 6 quarts of the break-in oil, and you have no issues. After that's all said and done, and you have no leaks, and you have no oil consumption issues or no oil pressure issues, then you can gladly go ahead and put in your normal synthetic oil of your choice in the car. The oil that I recommend you use is Rover Motor Oil 5W40 or 30. I put 40 because I want the oil to be a little bit thicker. Oh, that X5 is moving, boy. Nice. Now you can go ahead and do wide open throttle, and your engine has fully been completely broken in. So you're definitely good, and you definitely go ahead to do some pulls. Now I'm gonna pull over real quick because I'm about to close this video out. So like I said before, I got the inspiration for this video from MA Performance, and the reason why I went with them is just because of the fact that, you know, they had a really thorough process of breaking in the engine, and that's really what I wanted to do. I really wanted to make sure that I broke in this engine properly and really do all the thorough checks of breaking in the engine with no issues at all. So obviously, as you guys know, like, the engine in my case has already been broken in. I had no issues during the break-in process. And you know, definitely has been fantastic. We're still trying to figure out some, you know, obviously, like I said, I wanted to hurry up with the break-in process because I want to be able to get tuned and finish my tune before the spring. So this way I come out with a dyno video how much this car makes to the wheels. Video coming soon, by the way, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so, and thank you, thank you, Integrated Engineering. You know, obviously, you know, they recommended a certain oil, and they have this great, fantastic short block that I absolutely love. If you're going to build a motor and you don't want to actually take parts apart, and you actually want to buy an assembled short block already, I recommend Integrated Engineering because it's absolutely fantastic. And then also, shout out to MA Performance because they actually have a video on this process. But obviously they only build Evo motors, and I actually had a conversation with them, and they did recommend their break-in process for this application, and it definitely was worth it, and I couldn't be any happier. Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to conclude this video here of the break-in process for Project Mark 7's new heart. And I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope that the information was you know, easy to understand, and I hope that you retain the information if you want to do this in the future. But if you did like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And after you hit that subscribe button, there's usually a notification bell right next to it. I need you guys to go ahead and do that. All right? So without further ado, guys, I hope that you guys have a good day, and you guys always remember, where we break in the brand new beast of an engine in Project Mark 7, you guys always remember that cars are a lifestyle.